Hey guys, in my last video I referred to these tassels that we tie on a treble hook. Well, this is what we do. If you're fishing in a current, they're really good attractant, and that's how you tie them on the treble. And they also help hide the treble hooks. And I also wanted to tell you that we also use red food coloring. I forgot to mention it in that last video. And my cousin called me and they caught another monster pike out of Wabamun. Now, what I want to mention is that once you catch one of these big pike, you have to move. They're territorial. So he moved about a mile by the away from the power plant, I guess, and they caught another monster. This thing was 49 inches, but just a hog. Now, the rest of this video is some footage I had from when we went trout fishing. So it's old footage, but I hope you enjoy it. Fish and roughly what we do. I mean, this is old. Used this a long time. That's a 99 700 Polaris SKS. And this is the unit. We can burn propane or wood in the heater. This is how it looks like loaded. That's my old Avalanche 2008. It's got almost 400,000 kilometers on it, but boy, does it run good. And I am going to try get you a video of how we catch fish. And I'll just give you a quick overview of what it looks like here. This is the unit on the trailer. You can see the propane tank underneath tied down. And remember, we used to go way far back with this unit. We can go on a snow machine trail or make our own trail. And if we go 3 or 4 guys, there's tons of room for this is what it looks like when it's folded up, but you can see how much room. We're just the 2 of us going today for a quick trip for a little feed of fish. But you can see what it looks like. None of you, I think, have ever seen this except in pictures, so I thought I'd do a video for you and give you an idea of what it looks like. And of course, I'm loading the 700. Now you can hear this 700. I used to race snow machines, so this thing's making a lot of horsepower, and it's geared down to be able to pull all that weight when you go that far in, and it's pretty decent on fuel, and it's got a lot of power. Now this is what it looks like. Now when I fold it down, we ended up folding it down in the parking lot. You can see that unit goes in there, and then I've kind of got a crawl underneath, and I'll give you an idea what it looks like. Now you see I'm wearing my knee pads and my floater jacket, even though there's 2 feet of ice. But you got to be organized. You never know. I had a buddy of mine fall in an otter hole. He didn't have a life jacket or nothing, just a snowmobile suit on, and I'll tell you, it wasn't pretty getting him unthawed. So it can happen anywhere. So I always wear it to be sure. Now you can see what that brace looks like. That holds the wings up. And you can see I'm just inside putting it together now. And all it does, it goes up with 3 poles really fast. We tried to get it as fast as we could to show you what it looked like, but it didn't work as good as I wanted it to. But you can see when it's folded all up, I'm still in there putting the bars in. It goes up like an old woods tent. It's got 3 bars. In fact, the bars that are in this tent are from the original tent that I made out of wood 50 years ago when we didn't have any money. I mean, I was even making payments on my dog. But we took that thing, instead of having a regular tent, I put a sled underneath it, and it's just served us so well all these years. And gee, I must be struggling in there to get it up, but anyway, I'm getting old. But there it goes. You can see it roughly when it goes up, and then we get everything kind of organized and pull it up on the lake. And I got a bit of video on that when we take off. And so you can see what it looks like when it's set up. I just drove it out on the lake, and I'm just drilling a hole out. And then the handy thing about this thing is everything is all in the machine. So you just drive onto a hole. If you don't see any fish, you drive onto the next hole and fish. You don't have to remove anything. It doesn't leave much of a footprint. I don't even shovel the snow off. I just literally dig my hole and pull the machine over. And it doesn't take long at all. So I just, when I finish digging a hole, now it's a 10-inch auger, so it takes a little while. And the ice, I would say, was about 2.5 feet deep. So then I just get on the machine, drive over the hole. I've usually got a pretty good idea. I've done it over the years. And I take the grill off. That's normally what I cook on, and just kind of organize the tent a little bit, getting ready to dig the hole out. And what I do is, I mean, there's the cover. It's all made out of aluminum, and there's the hole. I hit it bang on, don't take long. And then when I clean it out, I generally put all the slush and ice in the pot, and I'll put the pot on the stove. And then I've got hot water, and that hot water, it won't take long to melt. I've got the heater going on. Everything's on propane. And so I just clean the hole out real good, and then put it on the stove, and it'll melt real hot. Then I'll dump that hot water down there, down the hole. It'll keep it from freezing. It'll also melt off the edges, so you don't have any edges for your line to catch. It works really good. Now, just in case I never showed you before, but that's where the propane tank sits underneath in the hitch. And I showed you that manifold on Cody's corner. Well, there's a manifold there. It runs the heater. I had to turn the heater off, it's so hot today. And I usually barbecue, and there's my 2-burner stove. And generally I do all my cooking on here. Now this tent is set up, it's 8 by 12. Okay, now you can see I've got a big screen TV. I'll show you that later. And everything, we sleep 2 guys, and generally I have all my stuff right there. If I feel like leaning back, I'll make myself a bit of a chair there and that sort of thing. And if I'm really tired of looking down the hole, I'll lay all that stuff down, move those things to the side, and I'll lay down there and look down the hole. It's really, really comfortable. It's we've had as many as 6 people sleep in here when it's cold, but it's really nice with 2. 3's a bit of a crowd, but it's still good, still a lot of fun. And I was just showing you why here. One of these things here, right here, it was, where is that? Right there, -40 below, and I mean, we caught 40 pike, and there's some, I record everything on the wall here, and I mean, there's you know, you look at that particular trip, 2 8-pound rainbows, just some really cool memorabilia on here in the tent, and we write every trip down. Some of them we didn't, because we didn't have a pen, and then we forget, but anyway, so that's, normally I'll pack all my cooking stuff up there, and I'll sleep on this side because I'll tend to the stove and that sort of thing. Now you saw that I put the water or all the ice in there, and I put it on the stove. Well, now it's melted, and it'll be good and hot. I throw it down the hole, and it just rounds the edges on the bottom, keeps the hole from freezing, works really good. Everything, you have to be organized. Everything you see here is organized, because when you get a big fish, I mean, I've had some big fish in this tent, and when you get a big northern pike that's over 50 inches, I mean, I have my handy dandy towel, and you've seen in other videos, I just throw the towel over them to subdue them, because otherwise you got slime and stuff everywhere. I'll usually, when I see I get a big jack, I'll soak that in the water, and I'll throw it over them. And also, I guess I can show you, when I hang my camera down, just like I did today, and I'll show you in a minute, I put it in this clamp, and so I can up and lower it anywhere I want. It's really handy, and that clamp just like that, and it works really, really good. So you can see how that hangs there when I drop it down if I want to keep it at a certain level, that sort of thing. No, I just grabbed this rod and reel. You've all seen, if you watch my videos, you've all seen what's in that box. I have lots of tackle. You never know. I guess the other thing too is the tent, or the net, is always hanging here, and the scoop is always hanging here, so it's out of the way, so everything's pretty neat and tidy when you get that big fish. Now you saw the video about that rock solar power plant I got. Well, it charges a battery for the fish finder, and it powers up the big screen TV. Now I'm going to lose you, I think, when I shut the door, but I'll just show you. It's pretty cool because you just sit down and you watch TV, but I'll just see what happens here when I shut the door. Now, if it was down underneath the water, you'd see better, which I'll be doing here right away, but you can see what it looks like. So I sit in my chair here and I watch TV, and you can see roughly the way the tent is. Okay, on with the show. Now y'all know when I shut the door in this tent, it's darker than the inside of a cow, so I can see down the hole. But I'm going to show you what I'm using today. And we're after big rainbows, and the water's fairly murky, and we're fishing in about 7 feet of water, and I can see the bottom. Now, can you see that? There, I think you can see that. It's just an elastic band, and I call them sacrificial weights, because once the fish kicks off, that elastic will loosen, and that rock will drop off, and the elastic band will go up right up your eyelets. Now, I've also tied a little red hook, because red's not dead. In the spring I find red works really, really good, especially on bows. And then what I'll do is I'll use my favorite garlic marshmallows that I've had for years, and I'll just cut off a little chunk, just enough to give it some floaty. And I'm hoping you see that. And then I'll just thread it on. Just like that. Doesn't have to be fancy, it's just as long as it floats. I'll cover that shank so that they can't see it. And then I'm using dew worms today. So I just find a volunteer where Devil's going to lose a piece. Hang on. I don't blame him for hiding. Okay, but now there's a little piece there. And I'm just going to cut that little piece off. There, you can go back and hide. And I'll take that little piece of worm and I'll thread it right on that hook. And because you cut a hole in them, there's already a hole made for that hook. So it works pretty slick. And that's roughly what it's going to look like. Now sometimes if they're really fussy, I'll put another piece of marshmallow on the barb, and I'm going to do that right now simply because we don't have much time. I just wanted to come for a quick, I just felt like fish today. And these fish in this lake are about, the one, I don't know if you've seen the video this summer, it's about 22 inch, but they really, when you fillet them for the two of us, now that the kids are gone, it's really just a perfect meal for a couple of meals. So there you go. And that's what I got. Something that those fish have never seen before, and they're going to like it. Now I also leave some memory in this line. If I can, there's a bit of memory left, so that when this rock sits down on the ground, this will float up. Okay, and they'll just come and smash it. I'm just going to spread it out here, and I don't know what the video will turn out like, so I'll give you a close look at what it looks like. Well, that's what it looks like. So now I'll shut the door and I get the camera down there and I start looking around. And what I'll do is there's a fish. That's my fish I want. Right there. You can kind of see them. And I'll just bang that weight of the camera on the bottom, and I'll pull it up and I'll put my hook down. Now I thought you'd be able to see down the hole here. I've got the camera down. I can see really, really good. I can see him. And he looked at it, then I dropped it, lifted it up, or dropped it down, and then he kind of looked at it and he swam away. And I'm still watching it. I'm not moving it. Not moving nothing. I wish you could see it here, but it's totally not moving. And then he bit, and I pulled him up. I had the camera on, and the battery was dead, so it was a rainbow. It looked kind of like this. There's what he measured out. in the before we put them in the oven. It was a pretty beautiful fish, enough for a meal, one fillet for both of us. Beautiful fish, and this is what he looked like when he was cooked up. Now the rest of this video is just me taking off, going back to the parking lot, and we'll load the tent up and take off. So this is just video of going across the lake. I see a lot of people do this, so I have a new battery in the camera, so I have to show off a little bit. You can hear the power. That's 700, I guess. That's a little north behind there. And pull up and start loading everything. And I'm going to give you a brief showing of how we actually have to load it, because it's just the two of us and we're not young. So I've got a winch set up. So I usually just drive the snow machine on the trailer and get the tent as close to the trailer as I can, and I winch the tent up. Now I'll show you how we winch it. It's pretty simple. We just hook it on and winch it up the ramp, and it's all electric, and it fits in a receiver, and the receiver, once it's all pulled into place, I can take the winch off. It all fits in a box, or actually a little tub that I have, along with long cables. The cables go to the battery on the Avalanche and unhook. They're all on quick couplers, like all my winches are. Every winch I own is on a 1-inch receiver for the small stuff. For the big trucks, they're all on 2-inch. And so you can see, it's just very simple. Take the cables off, roll them up, throw them in the tote, and you're good to go. And doesn't take long, but it's really easy with the winch, rather than fighting trying to drive it on with a snow machine. It's a little risky, so we just winch it on. It only takes a minute, and then everything goes back in, and that's what it looks like when we're on our way home. But I also want to show you a little bit, because I used a very similar setup on my hunt camp. Now, we had a visitor at the end here. I think I got a little bit of a clip of Whiskey Jack. That probably was still hot, but anyway. Now, this is the actual inside of the hunt camp, which is very similar. You've seen my hunt camp, and it works on the same principle. 3 poles, it goes up. I can run it either on propane or electric, and very, very warm, very comfortable and dry. The hunt camps, even though it's only 12 by 8 also, it's got an 8 by 8 section on the front that really seems to make room, because it's almost 8 feet tall, so you can dry clothes and everything. And I wanted to show you that too, because I don't know if you've ever seen inside the hunt camp. That's what it kind of looks like. And there's the heater there. It's all propane, works the same thing. We usually cook in it. Works good. So thank you very much for watching, and hopefully we'll see you in the next video.